The 29-year-old TikTok star, April Holt, a mother of two and positivity coach, had amassed over 200,000 followers on her account. April built her online image with her signature upbeat approach, sharing her happy home life and stories of self-improvement. Her post conveyed a message of overcoming adversity and manifesting great things. However, in late July 2023, her life took an unexpected turn when April was found unconscious in the bathroom of her home, with a bag over her face. Days later, she passed away. While authorities initially labeled the incident a suicide, April's mother, Jamie Dickerson, was convinced that in this tragic loss, there was something scarier and darker to the story. When Jamie Dickerson saw her daughter in the hospital, hooked up to life support, with bruises on her neck and ankles and broken blood vessels in her cheeks, she understood immediately that her daughter had not been in an accident. To Jamie, it was clear that she had been the victim of murder. Thus began one mother's unyielding struggle to uncover the truth behind the tragedy. April and her husband, Donovan Holt, 33, shared the ups and downs of their marriage online. They recounted on social media how their relationship evolved from being friends to becoming best friends to becoming a couple. Eventually they married and started a family, becoming parents to Serenity, the daughter April had as a teenager with another man, and their son together, Denzel. April admits that they went through some complicated times. She notes that the couple also faced financial challenges, bouts of depression, and serious health problems. Their story served as an example of how a relationship can overcome adversity. It always concluded with love and success, displaying an inspiring narrative. While not everyone is comfortable sharing their personal struggles, April did so in an honest and transparent manner, which captivated her followers. Sources revealed that weeks before the tragedy, April had filed for divorce from Donovan, and this time, it seemed final. It was also learned that Donovan had pawned her wedding ring, indicating that the separation was imminent, and that the relationship was on the verge of a final breakup. On the day of the tragedy, April's husband, Donovan, called his mother-in-law, Dickerson, after finding their daughter, and she immediately noticed something unusual in his tone of voice. He sounded upset, like he was panicking, but he showed no distress or surprise, Dickerson explained. Donovan said, "We found April. She wasn't breathing, and we took her by ambulance to the hospital. Her behavior at the hospital was equally strange. She allowed Dickerson to make all medical decisions for her daughter. She was holding her head, swaying and pacing nervously back and forth," he added. April later that day died in the hospital. The Nashville Metropolitan Police Department, along with city prosecutors, closed the case after an official autopsy determined Holt's death was a suicide. However, her mother never believed that conclusion, convinced there was a mistake, reviewing police reports over and over again and her daughter's autopsy writings for hours each day. Her perseverance as a detective finally culminated in the arrest of her daughter's husband, proving that her suspicions were not unfounded. She met with the district attorney and as many people as possible. They all said the same thing: "We don't see enough evidence." In the end, he was released without further ado. But Dickerson knew her daughter very well, and she knew that April possessed a great deal of faith and resilience in the face of life's problems, and she was also convinced that there was no way April would have decided to abandon her children like that. It wasn't her legacy, so she didn't give up. Days passed. It wasn't until her 7-year-old son Denzel spoke to his grandmother about that tragic morning. He told her that he had heard his parents arguing, although he couldn't make out the words that were said. He recalls that, after hearing the screams, he went to the door and saw both of their feet, but did not understand what was happening. She then ran to her room, but soon after, his father came into his room, dressed him, fed him, and finally asked him to go check on his mother. His grandmother learns that thanks to his father's request, the boy was the one who found his mother in the bathroom in agony. This motivated his mother even more in her search for justice, starting a never-ending struggle. Media coverage of April's case gave the case strength, and visibility was an arduous task. Jamie contacted local news stations and reached out to area celebrities while consistently posting about the case on her social media. She also not only conducted an online campaign, but also requested the full file and initiated her own investigation, filing a formal complaint with the Nashville Board of Review. However, the situation turned into an uphill battle after the investigation was closed. Grace and the fruits of this never-ending struggle moved April's case forward with determination. Although investigators initially claimed that there was no evidence of trauma to April that would justify her death, according to Jimmy, there were visible signs that suggested otherwise. At the hospital, April had obvious bruising, and the autopsy revealed marks on her neck. Significant cuts were also found on her inner thighs and ankles. This crucial piece of evidence was overlooked during the initial investigation. The only fingerprints found on the bag covering April's head did not belong to her, but to Donovan Holt. In September, Jamie confronted his ex-son-in-law with the information he had gathered. During this conversation, she warned him that if he didn't tell her the truth, she would meet with the cold case team that was ready to reopen the case. She was very excited about the breakthrough as she had been investigating for over a year. Jamie took the confession she had recorded to the police, which led to a review of the April autopsy. As a result, the conclusion on the cause of death was eventually reclassified from suicide to homicide. On September 20th, 2024, the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department, MNPD, announced that Donovan Holt had been arrested in San Antonio after confessing to murdering his wife. Detectives brought charges of manslaughter by tampering and false reporting before a grand jury. The detective reported that Donovan had been arrested in Texas for the murder of April Holt and would be transferred back to Tennessee. The case update indicated that Donovan was already handcuffed and on his way back. His bond was set at $75,000, pending an arraignment hearing scheduled for October 23 of the same year. After speaking with the Nashville case unit, any remaining ambiguity in the case was resolved. The 33-year-old man finally confessed to police his version of events, just as he had to his former mother-in-law. According to his account, after a heated argument with his wife, he angrily strangled her and, to cover up the crime, dragged her into the shower. There he placed a bag over her head and taped it shut. He then left her there to prepare her son's lunch. Once Denzel had eaten at Donovan's request, he went to see his mother, and subsequently, the ambulance was called. April's children are in the care of their grandmother, who has reported that they are doing as well as possible under the circumstances. Jamie has thanked his social media followers for their support of his family during this difficult time. However, despite feeling relieved that the man responsible for her daughter's murder is now in prison, her struggle has not been entirely satisfactory. Jamie is currently working to have the charges against Donovan upgraded from reckless homicide to first-degree murder. I'm trying to get the charges to be more severe. There is no reason for them to be so low. They should be first-degree instead of reckless homicide. In addition, the danger to children should also be considered, he explained. This is the battle she is fighting now, and in the next week she will be assigned a new district attorney, which will be the third in the case. She is committed to doing everything she can to get the charges increased. Thus unfolds the tragic story of April Holt, who, thanks to her mother, will be able to rest in peace. If you like the case, don't forget to like it and turn on the little bell so you don't miss any other story. See you next time.